The most popular comment that comes my way on this channel is, of course, people who think Maitreya is the Antichrist and have no problem telling me such. Now, anytime I get a chance to reply to a comment like that, I always ask them three questions. I ask them first, have you ever seen Maitreya in your own life? Or at least seen him on TV and recognized him on TV yet? Have you experienced his love? Or have you experienced the wisdom of his teachings, and see how it goes either way? And then the last question would be, have you taken time to really study the priorities of the teacher? Like, without sharing, there can be no justice. Without justice, there can be no peace. And without peace, there can be no future. Have you at least taken the time to study that and see if there's any truth to that? Or at the very least, if you don't want to do that, waited to see if, when humanity does try and take his suggestions, how the final outcome is, to see what happens with it. And I can answer those questions because I've seen Maitreya in my own life. I've experienced his love, and I've experienced the wisdom of his teachings. I've applied his teachings to my life, and they've changed my life for the better. I've also studied the priorities of the teacher, the first and foremost, the need to start the principle of sharing, because I looked back historically and looked at the Marshall Plan, when the United States started the principle of sharing initially with the nations of Western Europe. It happened for about 4 years, happened between a few nations, and those nations that participated in it, even years upon years upon years after it ended, still have a good relationship with one another. So I'm seeing there's some truth to what he's saying. So we haven't seen it occur globally yet to see if there's any kind of, how it's going to turn out that way. But if it turns out how it turned out with the Marshall Plan, well, then it must be something to it. It must be, beneficial for humanity if we do it. So ask yourself those three questions. If you're someone who's either on the fence about who and what Maitreya is, you don't know whether he is the Antichrist or not, my suggestion is just to sit back and wait. If you're somebody who's utterly convinced he's the Antichrist, it doesn't cost you anything just to sit back and wait and watch. You know what I'm saying? Eventually we'll all know, right? Now, I also look at it like this. When somebody just shuts this information outright, or is utterly convinced he's the Antichrist without truly answering those three questions, to me it's a lot like two farmers speaking next to an empty field. One farmer looks at the other farmer and says, I just planted a bunch of wheat yesterday. And then that other farmer looks and goes, no, you planted corn. You're lying to me. And after they go back and forth for a while, finally the first farmer goes, you know what? Why don't we just wait and see what comes up out of the ground? You know what I'm saying? If it's wheat, then I'm telling you the truth. If it's nothing but corn, well, then obviously you knew something that I didn't know. You know what I mean? So I think the best approach to this information, whether you're utterly convinced he's the Antichrist or you're on the fence, is just sit back and wait and see. When you see him on TV, when you experience his love, experience the wisdom of his teachings, and more importantly, when humanity starts to apply his priorities, see how it turns out. And then you'll know for sure either way.